Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void, mostly about books. In 2025, I am doing 25 books divided to two readathons. And for February, these two readathons, not just February, but this is the February books for the two readathons. I'm doing Reading the Globe by Ras Scaladandling and Katja from Pages Turning with Katja. And there we are reading the book, David Diop, Beyond the Door of No Return is the English translation. This was originally written in French, and I am reading the Norwegian translation, so I needed the English title next to me. On the back, it says that this is about a French scientist in the 1700s traveling to Senegal, and where he then sort of falls in love, becomes obsessed with an African slave. But just as much as we follow this man, what is his name? Addison. Just as much as we are following Addison, we are following their daughter and the consequences that she has for the choices that her father has made in her life. And what I really enjoyed about this book, and that's what I meant with it called Love With, because I so much enjoyed the connection that he did with slavery in the 1700s, but also the Enlightenment in Europe, which is the 1700s, and which Addison is a part of. He is a botanist. He travels around because he wants to learn as much as possible due to the Enlightenment and all of the values that the Enlightenment stood for. So for those who aren't that well versed in European history, the Enlightenment was sort of a moment of rationality between the Renaissance and the Romantics, which are two time periods focusing much more about emotions and about art, more than sort of the Enlightenment, which was more about scientific discoveries. And there are two ways that you can, there's several ways you can understand the book, but this connection between the 1700s and the Enlightenment period that Addison is living in, and what he does in Senegal, and sort of the way he looks to this, what is her name? Maram. Maram, which is the African slave that he becomes in love with, is that on one hand, one of sort of the critiques that the Romantics had of the Enlightenment period was that, well, they were missing out on a huge part of the human experience. That humans aren't just rational beings. We have emotions, we have a heart. And if you don't sort of include that part of it, don't understand that you can't just be rational. You also need your emotions. You need to take care of your emotions. You're not really going to be rational for long, which is sort of part of how you can sort of understand it, that he becomes so obsessed with this woman, thinking he's loving her, because he's sort of not really in touch with his emotions anymore. But another way, and the way I really enjoyed this book, also because of the ties to the daughter, is reading it more within sort of the Anthropocene theory. So I'm not really sure what this is in English, but this is a theory that tries to question any kind of worldview, either religious or non-religious, which is what you got within the Enlightenment period. It still had sort of humans in the center, and we as humans shall go out and conquer the world. We will understand everything that is going on because I can control everything. And one of the things, of course, is, well, can you then control other people? But sort of in the sort of systematic slavery perspective of it. But I think also just in the interpersonal level, what do you do if someone rejects you? What do you do if someone isn't interested in you? Not even sort of, even if there is a power imbalance there. If you can go out and conquer the world, well, you can't. Because there is a limitation to what you can conquer. There is a limitation to what you can have control over. And that is what I think was so brilliant with this book, that it sort of makes you have to question, in what way can I actually control everything? And is that necessarily a bad thing? So this was fun. So the second book I read for the second readathon, and the second readathon is Reading the Classics by In Search of Wonder. And for February, we were going to read a Gothic story. And I read The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. And this is a very classic haunted story about people moving into a castle, mansion, something. I didn't quite get this sort of a big house. It's a big house. I don't know what kind of house it is, but it's a big house. And then things are happening, and there are things sort of in the corners, and things that go bump in the night. And you don't really know if it is, in what way it's haunted. Because maybe you can be haunted in different ways. And in addition to this, I also read by The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, which is pretty much just the same story, which is not surprising because this is... I, by no means, am going to make fun of Gothic stories because I think they are an absolutely valid subgenre of literature. And especially, for example, Horace Walpole and Anne Radcliffe, which sort of paved out what we today will identify as Gothic. But it is quite a tropey genre. You know what you're getting yourself into. And I think that's fine. If that's what you want, if that's your cup of tea, do that. What I think I enjoyed most about reading these Gothic classics is that I think I wasn't really aware of how much of these books play on the psychological more than the supernatural. It's not so much sort of the ghosts that are scary in these books. It's the living people. That's the scary part. That's the thing you should be scared of. The ghosts are fine. They're not going to hurt you. It's fine. Be wary about human people. And maybe that's sort of one of the things that the Gothic genre is supposed to explore. How we are more afraid of what goes bump in the night when we should be afraid of what goes bump in the day. So if you have any thoughts about the Gothic literature, please let me know, because this is a very new genre for me. I hadn't really read a lot of Gothic before reading these two books. And I just read them because I knew that these were the Gothic books to read. But I do want to now read Northanger Abbey again. I've read that book. With the exception of Persuasion, that's probably the Jane Austen books I've read the most. And having sort of the Gothic backdrop, which is what the book is kind of critiquing. It's not critiquing Gothic literature in itself, but more people who are getting too fixated on Gothic literature. But yeah, that's my February 25 and 25. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.